Last time, I finally wrapped up the crafting system in my solo developed indie survival crafting game, and I think it turned out to be really fun to play with. Now that the biggest mechanics are mostly in, it's time to finally start combining everything together and turn this into an actual game instead of just a collection of features. Because I want to get a playtest version out as soon as possible and start gathering real feedback. Hi, I'm solo developing a survival crafting game called Blossom: The Seed of Life, where you play as the only sentient being in the galaxy, a robot. Your goal is to terraform Mars and bring life back to it. The first thing I need is a proper starting base for players. Since the game is currently third person, I initially thought about doing bases without interiors, because they are easier and faster to make. But if you have watched any of my previous devlogs, you might have already figured out that I'm a bit of a masochist and always stay away from the easy path. But this time at least, I think I have a valid point: immersion. Because if I have interiors inside the buildings, I will have a lot of opportunities in the future, especially when it's time to incubate some plants and animals. So let's start by making a door. A working door. That's good, but once you're inside the base, you can't see anything. So what's the point of building interiors if players can't see them? To fix that, I implemented a transparency system. It detects when you're inside a building and replaces the outer materials with transparent versions. Now you can actually see what's going on. This also solves another issue. If a big building blocks your view, the camera now checks if it's colliding with any transparency-enabled structures like the base and automatically makes them see-through. Next up is something I've been asked about constantly in YouTube comments and on Discord: Blossom upgrades. This wasn't in my original scope, so I had to come up with something simple that also wouldn't mess with my current plan, because you know, I can't keep adding features to the game, otherwise this game will never get released. So I came up with a system that's expandable, fits within the existing design and also doubles as a tutorial. Here is how it works. Blossom already has a backpack that stores both items and power. It already kind of looks like a power bank, so let's make it act like one. There are 3 backpack sizes: small, medium and large. Each version has a different number of item slots, power capacity and module slots. Yes, module slots. These will hold upgrade modules that give Blossom new abilities. You start the game with a small backpack. It gives you 20 units of power, 4 item slots and 1 module slot. When you access the crafting station, you will now see a new upgrades category. For example, you can craft a mining module level 1, which unlocks the ability to mine resource deposits. Then, with enough materials, you can craft a medium backpack, which gives you 35 units of power, 6 item slots and 2 additional module slots, one for a light module and another for a boost module. These new modules are slotted into the bottom of your backpack. Pressing R toggles your nightlight, while Shift activates boost mode. The modules also light up to show whether they are active or not. You see, you learn new recipes whenever you craft something or discover all the materials a recipe needs. This is different from the printer where you manually install blueprints. Because of that, I realized I needed a proper system to communicate with the player. Now when you discover a new recipe, it gets highlighted here. I also added a few more warnings, like when your power is low, when your lights are on during the daytime, or when you're boosting while low on power. I'm pretty sure these will come in handy later on. By the way, the game is called Blossom: The Seed of Life, and if you're interested or want to support it, the best way to do that is by wishlisting it on Steam. The link is in the description. Now, on to the large backpack. It comes with 50 units of power, 8 item slots and 3 additional module slots. The first one is Deconstruction Module, which is pretty self-explanatory. Next is the Overlay module. Level 1 unlocks the Power Overlay, and Level 2 unlocks the Planet Overlay. This one shows current terraforming progress and how it's affecting the planet. And Level 3, well, it doesn't do anything just yet. So let me know in the comments what kind of overlay you would like to see added. And our final module is the Info module. When you install Level 1, it opens a compass view at the top of the screen. You see, this game won't have any kind of map or minimap. I want players to explore the planet by noticing interesting things around them. I know the world feels pretty empty right now, but that won't be the case in the final game. There will be all kinds of explorables that reward you with new machinery, blueprints and a lot of story elements to uncover. But I also don't want players getting completely lost without a sense of direction. Level 2 of the info module unlocks tracking on the compass. This will eventually track a lot of things in the game, but for now, it lets you find your dead bodies. You can also use a resource scanner to spend some power and highlight nearby resources within a limited range. And finally, level 3 unlocks more detailed info, like coordinates, time of day, and how many souls you have spent on Mars so far. Now, do you remember I mentioned I will use the upgrade system as some form of tutorial? I hate tutorials with cutscenes and unskippable sequences. This is why I tried my best to incorporate it into the gameplay itself. This is where the objective system comes in. It will give you some direction during your first hour or so into the game. By combining the modules, Blossom will gain each feature one by one through installing them. This way, I hope players won't feel overwhelmed when starting the game and can learn the mechanics gradually by actually working for them and receiving them as rewards. Of course, this won't be the only use for the upgrade system. This approach opens up a lot of possibilities for the future, like different backpacks for different situations and many more modules for new abilities. Now, one thing that kept bothering me is what happens when you launch the game. It just generates the world, freezes for a bit, and then drops you straight into the game. You see what it is missing? A title screen. Every game needs one, and Blossom is no exception. On Discord, we discussed the idea of showing the planet's terraformation on the title screen, which I think is pretty fitting. I still need to finalize some of the menus, but at least now it's a proper start. Since now we have a main menu, I also added one to the game itself to act as a pause menu. Both menus support controller input as well as keyboard and mouse. So far, I've got a solid couple of hours of content in the game that covers the first steps: backpack upgrades, early exploration, and pressure terraforming. I'll release a video or two soon in a more Let's Play style to show what to expect from the game and the upcoming playtest. If you don't want to miss that, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Until then, I will be fixing bugs and continuing to balance the game until I'm very happy with it. I also want to include temperature terraforming in the playtest build, so you can experience the fully transformed planet when you finally create water on Mars. I will run a couple of rounds of playtests, and the first one will be exclusive to Discord members. After I gather feedback from there and make some adjustments, I will do a semi-public playtest on Steam, so if you're interested, make sure to wishlist the game on Steam and join the Discord. Both links are in the description. And finally, did you notice that player's starting base actually looks like a rocket ship? And there is a control panel inside that says press E to launch. I wonder what that button does. Well, of course it doesn't do anything. Or does it? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.